So, I just beat Dark Souls for the first time, and the only reason why I even wanted to start playing Dark Souls is because everyone said that it's a very hard game and that it's actually a great game to play. And after going through the entire story and completing the game from start to finish, completely fresh without really knowing anything, do I think Dark Souls is as hard as everyone says it is? And is it as good as everyone says it is? And I'm planning to complete the whole trilogy, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, and Elden Ring. So, with just Dark Souls 1 remastered, I will say no. In the fact that it is a hard game. And I will not really say it's hard, it's challenging. And it's only challenging because a lot of the times when you die is simply because you need to look up how the boss is supposed to be defeated. It's not really through skill, actually. There's only like a few bosses, one or two, like the final boss of Dark Souls, and then the boss where there's actually two bosses in one. Those are the actual fights that take genuine skill and learning through the boss to beat it through dodging and hitting him a certain way and learning his movements. Other than those two bosses I mentioned, every other boss is fairly easy to beat, and most of them I actually beat within one or two tries. And when people say it's hard, I don't get it. Because sure, some of the mobs are hard, but a lot of the times the reason why you die is because you do not know the area or certain points in the game that could just insta-kill you, and it's not because you lack skill. It is simply because you do not even know what happened. And a very, very good example of this is the boss in the lava area, where you don't even really directly fight the boss. All you do is just hit him on his left side, hit him on his right side, and then jump past a giant hole in the middle to kill his core, and that's it. And me explaining how to beat this boss seems pretty simple, right? But it is one of the most annoyingly, painstakingly difficult bosses, not to fight, but just to deal with in the game, because he has an unstoppable attack move that if you get hit once, it is damn near impossible to get back up without getting hit into a hole that insta-kills you, or him just knocking you around until you're basically dead in two hits. And the armor doesn't matter. That doesn't negate the damage. And the poise doesn't matter either. That's a very good example. And when I fought this boss, I did not know anything about it, and I was getting frustrated. Not because of my lack of skill or that I couldn't beat the boss. It was because I'll literally land in the boss area and then die instantly from him hitting me into a hole. It was so annoying. And a lot of this game, you have to look up what to do to get past certain points. And I mentioned this in my last Dark Souls video where I was actually more than halfway through down to the game. And I said I was going to make a video once I completed it. And this is this video. But the same complaint I have then is actually more exaggerated now, especially with some bosses where in order to beat it, you need to know the mechanics of beating it. It's not through skill, it's just simply through if you don't know it, you can't beat it. And I think that's super annoying. And a very good example of this isn't really a boss area, but it is the Crystal Forest. Now, there is invisible pathways that stretch for a very long time across giant chasms that you will not know that they are there without looking it up. It is impossible to cross that unless if it's through sheer luck. A lot of areas in Dark Souls are like that, and there's no warning signs of if it's over leveled. There isn't really any guidance at all of where to go. You're just lost. And I had to look up how to exit the archive room before entering the forest because I beat every single mob in there, got lost, and I didn't know where to go. And it was simply because there was a lever hidden in some dark corner that you would have passed by if you did not know it was there. And I passed by it 3 or 4 times and didn't even notice. And the game doesn't tell you this at all. There is a story to Dark Souls 2 where it's essentially some undead guy is fighting these four fallen lords and then finally tries to fight Gwyn to get his soul. Something like that. But it's so vaguely described and portrayed that you really don't know what's going on within the story other than I have to beat this boss next. And you only know where to go to fight these bosses by looking it up on YouTube or on Google. And I think that really takes a lot of the luster and a lot of the fun and creativity out of the game, where you have to look up where to go next because the game does not tell you, or who to fight next because the game does not tell you, or which areas you're able to go into without the game telling you. It is so bare bones in that sense that people misconstrued it as difficult when it's just being annoying for the sake of being annoying. To me, it's essentially like being a carpenter and then being thrown into a mechanic shop. And then they say, oh, this is a difficult job because you don't know how to fix a car. It's the same thing that applies. Like, you don't know how to do it. It's because no one tells you to and no one guides you or anything. They just throw you in there and just have you tinker around. And sure, you'll probably figure it out after 20 years, but you need to ask for help to figure out how to do this thing. And in this game, there is no help system at all other than the descriptions of the stats and how they apply. And a lot of the items in the games, I didn't even know how to use without looking it up on YouTube either. And I guess you could boil down this entire video into me complaining that the game is so directionless that you can't even acquire half the things in the game without looking it up. And that's essentially what it is. If this game had more guidance of how to use certain items like certain souls from bosses to make unique weapons or directions of where to go, I think this would be a great game. I think it'd be phenomenal. And if they describe the story more where it's easier to understand instead of it being extremely vague, then I think this would be a 10 out of 10 game. But because they left it to not even interpretation, but to just throw you into a game and a system, to just say, have fun through and learn through trial and error, and that's all the game is, through trial and error. And most of the time you can't even complete certain things because it is hidden or there's a certain way you have to go to enter the next area, then I think it's just not that good of a game. And the only reason why I don't say it's bad, but is a good game, is because of the fighting mechanics and the unique way you're able to fight bosses. Through dodging, parrying, through shields, through magic. That system alone, the fighting system in the game, and just the mob fighting mechanics is what carries it from this game isn't good at all, it's super annoying, to okay, it's actually a pretty good game. And that's my opinion about it. Boiled down, I think this game is too directionless. It needs more guidance. It needs to show you how to use items and where without having to look everything up. So that's what I think about Dark Souls. I'm gonna play Dark Souls 2 next. I've heard that it is a completely different game compared to Dark Souls 1 mechanically, and that there is a touch of lore behind how they're connected, but I don't really care because I barely understood the lore in Dark Souls 1, so why should I care about Dark Souls 2? I hope they improved how they guided you and they didn't just leave it up all to just figure it out. But yeah. So that's it. That's my review of Dark Souls. Will I ever play it again? Only just to see the unique boss weapons and just things that I missed out from my first run through. So, hope you guys liked the video. If you did, do whatever you want. Like, subscribe, or comment. Or you can do neither of those. It doesn't really matter. I only post these videos just to shoot the crap. So, yeah. And, yeah. Deuces. Till next time.